Now is it on?
No, there you go. All right, we're on.
Did you
Man,
press the button?
yes, we're going.
So we're going to edit out the first 20 seconds.
We had a mechanical failure.
Welcome to Citizen Watch. Hopefully you can hear me. We have some equipment issues again this week. And we're here in Studio C, what's left of it. Got the lava lamp going, the cappuccino machine.
What is with you with the lava lamp and the cappuccino machine? I mean, you show your age and you show how quirky you are.
We have a guest here, safely ensconced in the big recliner with the vibration going on there, the back massager. But at the board, that laugh is Steve Colvard, best engineer in AM radio.
And Merced.
Robert, the velvet bracelet Tomasetti.
Oh, velvet bracelet.
Making it America's, or should I say Merced's most wanted.
Now, I didn't get arrested. I was
in
detained.
Studio.
So we'll tease people with that.
We'll talk about the difference between a detention and an arrest. And Robert's Day Thursday. And I'm Casey Steed, broadcasting again here from beautiful Studio C, the KYOS AM 1480 since 1936, the voice of the Valley, the power of local radio. Trying to make a difference here in our beautiful city and state and county. What
are we going to dedicate this to our biggest fan?
Our biggest fan that Robert met.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Robert was mowing his grass.
I wasn't mowing my grass. What happened before we get to our guest, who is Joanna Garcia-Botelho?
Yes,
Joanna. Oh, I had it right.
It's Joanna Garcia-Botelho. She's running for Congressional District 16, right?
Yep.
And we're going to talk to her in just a minute. But what happened to you, Robert?
Okay, what happened is I live on the corner of Martin Luther King 21st, and my sprinkler heads always get caked, and I got to fix them. Well, this one was real a pain in the butt because when I took the sprinkler head out, there was tree branches. I mean, the roots were the size of tree branches. I had to get down there on my hands and knees with my chainsaw and water, and thought I was going to electrocute myself. But anyways,
shock. Electrocution is. That's
the last thing that happens.
Yeah. Shock. You can walk away.
I was in water in a sprinkler system with
right.
a chainsaw. Anyways, so I fixed this, and there was a mess, and I went in the house, and I took a shower, and I left my tools out. I'm like, I better go get the tools. So I go get the tools, and here's this really nice young lady who I didn't know was really nice at the time. But anyway, she walks past my house, and he's the Mel Levy for Congress. So she starts asking me about Mel Levy. What do you think? What do you feel? So I'm talking to her, and she goes, really, really funny. She goes, "You're him." And I go, "What?" She goes, "You're him." And I go, "Him who?" She said, "You know who you are." I go, "Yeah, I know who I am. Do you know who I am?" She goes, "Absolutely. You're Robert Tomasetti." And I go, "Oh, crap."
The velvet bracelet.
I go, "Well, stop with the bracelet thing for a while. Casey's trying to be a jerk," which he's good at.
Oh, and you're not. Look who I learned from.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so this lady, her name is Heather. So she introduces herself. So she says, "I am one of your biggest fans. I love listening to the radio. I listen to KYOS." I said, "Come on." She said, "No." She said, "Matter of fact, I was hoping to win a Starbucks card." So I go in the house and I bring her a Starbucks mug. I give her one of my many in my collection. I give her a Starbucks mug, and I tell her, "I'm sorry, but you'll have to fill it with your own coffee." And anyways, so she's standing out there talking to me about the show, and she says, "But you don't look like what I would picture and imagine." And I go, I don't know if that's good or bad. So I said, "Well, Casey, Casey, he's a bigger. Oh, I know what Casey looks like. Oh, 200-300 pounds." She said, but Steve. Now, what does Steve look like?
What does Steve look like? The
I said,
elusive
Steve,
turtle, Tortuga.
El Tortuga. I said, well, it's real funny. He wears these white shoes and white socks.
Yeah.
He's got his hair just impeccably done. I go, you know what a metrosexual is?
Oh, whatever, man. I am the anti-metrosexual.
So anyway, so she and I are standing on the street.
There.
Well, I have to do that because Steve is always like impeccably dressed, except for every now and then he has a splash stain. Remember, Steve?
That's right.
Anyway, so the young lady standing on a street corner with me, and we're talking and we're yakking about different things and different stuff that we've talked about on the radio. And police are going back and forth. And I said, "Let's stop and let's watch the traffic." Out of 22 cars, only one stopped, and that's because he had a car in front of him. She goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. They really do this." And where does Larry Morse live? You say that Larry Morse lives down the street from you, so I had to give her a tour of the neighborhood.
Yeah, we're gonna have TMZ tours of Robert.
But I'm going to tell you, it was really cool.
Stop sign people run.
That's right.
This is where the
Is it going to include the parking lot of Bank of America?
This is where
B of
John
A story will
Pedroso
come
parks
up.
his truck.
No, John doesn't park his truck. But anyways, I just thought it was very nice. Her name was Heather. So our
thank
show
you, Heather.
today,
Yep.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, thanks for all the listeners that listen to Citizen Watch. If you go on the YouTube, you can listen to our shows on YouTube, all of our past shows, by putting in KYOS space 1480 AM. And all of our YouTube shows pop up.
Why don't you
We
tell
have
them they
over
can also
300
put in
hits.
They can also put in Citizen Watch with Casey Steed.
And Citizen Watch with Robert Tomasetti. Or Citizen
No, they
Watch
won't.
with Steve
They don't know how to
Colvard.
spell my name. Trust me.
Or they could just put in the bracelets, the velvet
That's
bracelets.
right. Or go to
Wait a minute.
the Merced City Police
We have
blotter.
another story from Robert, which we'll get into in just a minute. We do want to get to our guest, but I just want to talk about a couple of things first that happened in the news. We saw in the Merced Sun-Star this week, first part of the week, about the Patterson Warehouse, a project called XX, a large national retailer that is a household name that we'll all recognize when it comes out.
Mervin's?
We also heard that they're going to have 1.5 million square feet under roof.
So this
Now,
is a huge operation.
If you've never seen 1.5 million under roof, folks, it's like an eclipse, okay? You can go forever, and it's nothing but roof and warehouse.
Right.
And so they're going to have 400 parking spots. So they figure something that big, you got to run around the clock to make it worthwhile. So 3 times 4, that's 12. Interesting. Now, these numbers kind of equate
Why 12
to,
is important?
well, our distribution center that we were supposed to have here from a large national retailer that would be a household word was 1,000,002 square feet and was going to have 1,200 jobs. Now, I think, and it hasn't been announced, but I believe that this is the Walmart distribution center that they've wanted to build in the Valley for a long time. They've gone to Patterson, who has approved it already. It's a done deal. They didn't even need to know who it was. Okie dokie, stamp on the bottom line. What did it say in the
Didn't they name
paper?
it as Project XX?
When you have honey, bees are attracted. And over there in Patterson, they have the Amazon distribution center, 1,000,000 square feet under roof, 400 jobs.
You know what you should have done, and I apologize, but what you should have done, because I thought it was very interesting, so at break I'll try to look for it, but there was a really little neat synopsis in there about why this company went there.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the bees to honey. There's a lot of, there's a critical mass there. What we need to have happening up here on Mission Avenue interchange, which we could have had these idiots not stepped in the way of the Walmart distribution center here in Merced when it came through. Again, those, protest votes at the city council, this, SWAT. Here, let me give you some movie and a popcorn and why Walmart's the big mean corporation. Well, I think this is it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Very disappointing.
What if
Congratulations, Patterson. At least they're in California.
Well, you know what concerns me is they've cleared all the legal obstacles here.
Oh.
So there's nothing keeping them from building in
at
here.
all.
For some reason, they chose Patterson, if this is in fact the case, over Merced. And if that's the case, heads should roll here.
Well,
heads should roll.
I have friends that drive to Patterson now that work at the Amazon distribution center, and it's just, again, sad that if this is the case,
if we end up losing that to Patterson.
I tell you, Casey and I have a $5 bet.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I said it wasn't Walmart because I said that our leaders aren't that stupid. Okay,
So
and Casey
Bramble has to go. I would say Quintero would have to go.
My attitude,
They have to go.
I'm going to tell you, if you've never heard me be sledgy, you'll hear me be sledgy
What
if
about
I find
the
out
county
it's
level?
If
Walmart.
that turns out to be Walmart,
They said they have I-5 access. What about Dos Palace and Los Banos? I-5 access out there, as I remember. I think it's the county.
But there
level,
was
too.
a synopsis that they wrote in there about you have to have land use and all this kind of stuff. And what I think is funny, and the reason I don't think it's Walmart is because I don't think Walmart's a game playing kind of company.
Yeah.
Here we are. This is what we're going to do. This is not what we're going to do. Goodbye. When I read this, it's under Planet Project XX, and it's super secret.
Well, I think they're doing that because look at the flack they got because they were a Walmart here. They're a Target, even though they're not Target,
No.
quote unquote. They're a Target. When
No.
in a community, you
No.
do have pushback in
I
communities
disagree.
against Walmart. They
Why
don't
would you
like
have
the
to-
su-
wait,
they
why-
don't
I
like
can't
the
wait to hear the
supercenters.
excuse.
They don't.
I can't wait to hear the excuse from
They-
them.
they
I
don't like
still
the
don't think it's
supercenters.
Walmart.
They don't
I
like-
think
Well, I
it
hope
could
you're
be
right.
eBay.
I hope you're right.
I think it could be eBay. It could be anything.
Well, it's yet to be seen. The other thing I want to talk about real quick, because we have Joanna here. She's driven this huge beast of a truck over here. It's unbelievable if you drive by the station while we're
Well
taping.
driller. It's
I
got the
think
thing up. She's digging for oil.
literally, we're fracking here, folks. Anyway, I want to just say that people in the mail this week
People
should have
in the
got
mail?
people received in the mail this week their absentee ballots. So let's just take a moment and open them up together. Okay, now we have it out. You'll find a multicolored envelope that has this big, heavy 8 legal form piece of cardboard. And we're not going to go through every candidate's position because it takes too long. We'll
what
kinda
I think?
split it up.
People who listen already vote.
Right. Well, hopefully they did. And
probably
this
already
election, this election
Right.
will be determined by the mail-in ballots. That's the largest response you
think
get
so?
in a,
Yeah.
it definitely in a primary election. So I would encourage people, hey, let's fill it out. Let's get it in the mail this week. Let's not wait until June 3rd. At least start looking at it. But the first thing you're going to come to on the first page is state governor. I was amazed. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 choices for governor.
Really?
The only really...
Are you on there?
Yeah.
Let me see.
The only
Real quick.
really three that we've seen is Tim Donnelly, Neil Kashkari, I think is how you say his name, and of course our incumbent Governor Brown. So those really are the three front runners, if you will. Of course, Governor Brown is favored, but I would encourage people to choose wisely. It'll probably go to a runoff unless Brown wins outright. And there's other candidates that I'm sure that are qualified, but I've just never heard of them. So I was surprised to see 15 official
And why have we
candidates.
never heard of them?
I just don't think they have the money to advertise, quite frankly. And
Well, if you don't have money to advertise, why are you going against a big gun like Jerry Brown?
Well, I think you can go on the state website and find out a lot of information about these people, but they just don't get in the national media.
No, Case, I understand that, but the point of the matter is look, if I'm going to go for a campaign, we have a young lady who's running here. If I don't have money behind me, I don't have people behind me, I don't have a forum to speak on, why in the world am I going to take on a big gun like Jim Costa?
Well, really,
So we're gonna
I'm
ask
glad
this
we
young
have
lady.
15 people running,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, and people like Joanna, who's in studio today, we're going to talk to in a minute. I'm glad people are running. It's an uphill battle, and to go against an incumbent, I mean, Jim Costa is a fairly, as we talked before the show, I think he's weak with his peers in Congress. I don't think he's really brought home the bacon, so to speak, for our district, but he's a tough incumbent. Anyway, you go to the next deal, Lieutenant Governor. Of course, we've all heard of Gavin Newsom.
Ooh.
Just came out against high-speed rail. Even though he's a Democrat, he differs from Jerry in a lot of ways, a lot more liberal, a lot more progressive. He's probably the only one you're really going to know on this. I don't know. Do you know anybody for Lieutenant Governor? Have you really
Is that
followed
the
that
Ron
race?
Naring?
Ron Naring is in there. Yes, he's a Republican. And again, you can vote party line. You can go whatever. The next thing, just really quickly, Secretary of State. Of course, I find it funny we have Leland E. on there. He's sitting in the clink right now. Had a little problem. So if you vote for
Can we
Lee,
vote for him? That'd be funny.
You can vote for him, but he's going to be serving some time.
That just shows you how crooked our state is. We always make fun of New York.
Right.
In
Or Chicago.
Illinois.
Or
Yeah,
Chicago.
and here you got these guys, okay, who are still in office
Right.
while they're serving
Well,
time.
he was on the ballot before the little FBI raid. And then we have state controller. I'm just going to say the one I recognize, Ashley Swearingen, current mayor of Fresno. Really good candidate. Is coming on strong. I think she's the front runner in that race. And then, of course, Attorney General Kamala Harris, we probably all know. is
I'll bet
our
you
current
Swearingen
Attorney General. But again, there's
will run for governor at some point.
4, 5,
She did a
6.
great job in Fresno.
Who did Swearingen?
Swearingen.
Just she
I
did.
think she's going to run for governor at some point.
I think she's on the upward path,
Yeah.
most definitely. 6 people against Kamala Harris, and again, she's somewhat of a controversial, polarizing
Did I see
figure. If you look at, and then we'll go on the other side of the ballot next week. But one of the people on the other side of the ballot is our guest in studio. We're going to have her introduce herself before our first break. Joanna Garcia-Botelho for Congress, 16th District. Joanna, welcome. Thanks for putting up
This
with our
isn't
initial
your ballot, is it?
No, thanks for putting up with our initial banter. Introduce yourself. What do? You from Chowchilla?
I'm a Chowchilla almond farmer with my husband. We live just outside of town in Madera County. And a few years back, we had some issues with water. So I'm now a licensed water well driller. And I tinkered in real estate. So I'm a licensed realtor and got
During
a
the
bachelor's
boom?
degree. Actually, when I started real estate, I was in the midst of learning new words like short sale. And I was confused.
So you were post boom.
I was post boom, but you could still do a good job and help a lot
Sure.
of people. I was really confused. I found my way to law school accidentally during all this as well. And in contract law, we learn about if you're selling goods, you have a duty to mitigate the loss. If you wanted 1,500 pink strawberries and they sent you 1,500 purple strawberries, you can't just let the strawberries go bad. You got to put them in a freezer and do what it takes to mitigate the loss. Well, learning that after seeing short sales and the collapse of the real estate market and the economy as we know it, I was totally confused why big business, why big banks don't have to mitigate the loss, why
Big
they
banks.
were so difficult to work with. And yet the small business owner, the person who sells you and I our radios and our normal everyday household goods, has a duty to mitigate amongst businesses. I mean, to me, they let the economy crash, and then we bailed them out.
Right.
Where was our leaders on that one?
So you saw a need for
In their back
leadership.
pockets.
Yeah, they're getting paid somehow.
So you saw a need for leadership.
I'm laughing because
We need more than leadership. We need people with new ideas and common sense. We need people who understand what economics means. It means it runs in a direction where it starts flowing. So when it starts spiraling down out of control, if you don't do something to spiral it the other way,
Right.
it's going to keep going down out of control. They stepped in far too late, and they did the wrong thing. They helped out the rich people who had just lost everything. Well, what about the homeowners? What about people who screwed up? They got an ARM loan. They couldn't afford it. Their mortgage went from 5% to 15%, and they couldn't afford that. And the bank said, well, screw you. Get out of my house. I'm going to foreclose it and let the economy crash. Where were our leaders on that? How did you not see that coming?
The leaders are in the back pockets of the big banks. That's what I think.
You know, and I agree with her because I had gone to a Fidelity, Franklin Templeton. They did the California tax-free municipal bond funds, and I took a client of mine who had quite a substantial amount of money there, and we went up to Modesto, and they said, we're pulling the plug on the Central Valley. It's coastal, and we're done. When you knew that they were pulling the plug on California municipal bonds, what that means is that people are going to invest in the Central Valley and in infrastructure. And when they pulled the plug on that, you knew your goose was cooked. Mm-hmm. And she brings up a problem which we'll talk about later, which was Casey making fun of me about my detention at Bank of America. But the impetus of it is exactly what she's talking.
Your frustration boiled over.
Yeah, B of A loves Robert Tomasetti, but and we do here too at Citizen Watch, and we'll be right back, folks. Stand by. Tell you folks, we talk here during the break. We could have a whole nother show called The Break, but it's called Citizen Watch here in Studio C. The beautiful
Palatial.
The palatial.
Go ahead. What a lava
Studio
machine.
C, lava
what are you
lamp.
wearing? Your zoot suit?
Lava lamp. We're gonna get
Polyester?
We're gonna get an icy machine.
I have a lava lamp in storage in the garage
Do
from
you?
when I was in high school. I really think I need to bring it in.
You need
because
to bring
I'm-
that to your congressional office when you have one. And you'll be the coolest congresswoman up there. But we're here in Studio C. Steve Colvard texting away to his ex-lover. Right? What are you doing, Steve?
Not sure. I'm reading a letter from BSFN about high-speed rail.
Oh, no. HSR. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Robert, the Velvet Bracelets, Sledgehammer, Tomasetti, Most Wanted Man. And
Bracelets weren't leather, weren't velvety. My thumb still hurts.
Shout out to the MPD for not...
They did a good job. Real quickly, they did a great job. The guy apologized. We'll get into it, but really, he apologized to me, and I said, dude, you didn't know who I was? I said, you listen to the bank manager?
Robert's been, someday we'll have a 2-hour or 3-part special on Robert Tomasetti's home loan. And he evidently had a little problem with one payment. I'll tell you, if they ever get this one payment, isn't one payment?
No.
Okay, well, anyway, there's a couple
We'll
of
talk
payments.
about it later because you're giving people wrong information. So when we have time, I'll tell you the truth, exactly how it went down. And then you guys can all laugh at me and laugh at Bank of
No,
America.
we don't laugh.
In the
It's-
meantime, feel free to read the arrest record.
Yeah.
It wasn't a arrest record there,
It was a detention.
Joanna. It was a
The
tension.
difference between detention is you are
It's
able
both
to
still hurt.
leave.
It sounds to me like the difference between prison and jail.
Yeah,
You're still
Well, he had some
behind
nice
bars.
red marks on his wrists. I
Yeah.
can vouch for that.
Yeah, and he was
My thumb
late for
still hurts.
lunch. He was late for lunch. But anyway,
We'll tell you about that later.
kudos to the MPD for interacting with our show host. We're out there everywhere, folks. I'll tell you, we get to the
right.
bottom of these issues.
Hey, and you know what? And kudos go out to them when we tell the story. There's kudos go out to Officer Wilkins and Officer Stokes. I thought they handled it very, very professionally,
Yes.
safely, and
With a dangerous, hardened criminal out there in our streets. So anyway, we're just teasing Robert a little bit here. But look,
No,
let's
I
get
lost my
back to
temper.
our guest, Joanna
she's
Garcia.
enjoying this.
The Botelho. Well, everybody that comes into Studio C has a good time, and that's why we would
Is it
encourage
Bothello or is it Botello?
Botelho. How do you say
Botelho.
it? Botelho. See?
Ha!
I always say it wrong.
He's adding
Robert,
an extra H. Everyone does that.
I think it's just not right because there's no extra H in there. So Botelho on your ballot when you look
Botelho.
at that. And we would encourage
Botelho.
we only have 6 or 7, 8 more shows, I believe, until the election.
Tony DeSetti, please come on
4 more
board.
shows.
Karen Adams, please come on board.
Please give us a call. Area code 209-406-8728, or you can call down here to the station. Talk to the redheaded, the ginger engineer, the best one in the business, Steve Colvard.
Redheaded? Am I
You're a
redheaded?
little gingery, aren't you?
I'm red-skinned today, but I don't know if I'm redheaded.
Who would you call that ginger, Joanna?
I don't know. It's
Call it
got
weird.
that little tomato going on. I would call that
Tomato.
blonde.
Tomato,
Little
Steve.
tomato.
Oh,
I was in
it's
the
really
sun this
going
weekend,
now.
folks.
So, Joanna, let's talk. Steve was reading about HSR. We've just
Rakesh
seen
Kumar Christian.
We've just
Is that
seen
weird?
the second phase of the project, the EIR, come out, 23,000 pages or 100, I forget. Gave folks a whole week to look at it. What do you think about HSR? Are you a supporter?
I'm a little biased because there's 3 routes that run off the 152, and one of them goes through my house. So I'm not super happy.
Literally
about
goes through your house?
Yeah, I carry the map with me actually because nobody believes me. And so yeah, it takes off my 40 acres. The front part where my ag well, my residential well, and my house are, that's yellow, which is their path to Bakersfield.
And have they approached you about buying the premises from you or anything like that?
No, I'm looking forward to
The
that.
negotiation.
Oh, there we go. It's green. My house is yellow, and the green shows a proposed possible route. But they're completing
is your
Fresno to
house.
Bakersfield, so
There-
that's
you know-
priority.
But
Are
here's
you
my
in the Y?
But here's my
I think
question.
so. I could one of the proposed Ys. There's a couple, so I think
You
until
guys
they
lose me on this high-speed rail. Can we you guys stop a minute real quickly?
Yes.
Okay, you got all these routes and stuff. But I thought it was dead, Casey, because I thought that it was unconstitutional or whatever, illegal, the way that they raised. So let me get this right. From what I'm listening to you and the public and everything, is that state of California doesn't give a crap.
If
and
they
they're just
disregard the
gonna-
law, they can
and they just
still do
spend the
it.
money
Right
Very
now,
good.
writing maps,
That's
and
right.
going to her and getting her all wired up.
Oh, no, they're buying land. They've
She
spent
looks like she'd
literally
be a
$1 billion.
damn good.
They've spent $1 billion
Arm wrestler. You
to
arm
date.
wrestling?
I used to actually.
Yeah.
I'm better left-handed though.
No, but in all seriousness,
do that during the next
this
break.
high-speed rail thing has really become a pink elephant. And
What's a pink elephant?
the fact of the matter is, as it sits now, in my opinion, for the
We
high-speed
listeners
rail to progress, they would have to
Yeah.
break the law.
Right.
Now, that's not an uncommon thing in this country.
Well, this is why
where
the
the
judges
government
upheld.
plays by their own set of rules, and us,
Yeah.
we the citizens, have to play by the actual laws themselves. So this is what's most alarming to me, is that in order for high-speed rail to progress, it's literally going to have to break the law.
Well, I think you would agree, Joanna. It's not the same project the voters voted on.
No, and someone actually told me at the last meeting. They said, "Well, when everyone voted, the dollar amount didn't mean anything. It was just the proposed idea of having a train. Because when we did the freeway system umpteen years ago,
Sure.
it cost more than what we had projected, and it was the idea of having freeways that mattered." And I said, No. When I voted, I did vote for high-speed rail. I will
Right.
admit that. And the dollar amount did actually mean something to me.
course.
Ag economics was my major. Dollars mean something.
Can I ask you a question? The person who talked to you, was that a Democrat?
I didn't ask them their party affiliation, but it was an HSR supporter.
The problem that I'm seeing with a lot of this is that a Republican will look at the monetary, and the Democrats do not. The Democrats will look at it, that's just a big old pot, and what do you care about the money? Because it was just like your boy Eisenhower, who was a Republican. We're doing the same thing as he's doing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, tell me what Fresnans want in Bakersfield, because there's nothing there.
If I was in charge of California and I wanted to
Say
go
you were.
against the law and build this high-speed rail, which I originally voted for because I've been to London. When I was 16, my sister was doing a semester abroad, and I got the privilege to go there. And I thought, man, this sucks having to walk with groceries like 10 blocks and ride this train and go up 13 flights of stairs with no elevator. But I think they're skinnier for it, so this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I was in favor of the train and giving people an option. But
Right.
not a train to nowhere. If you were going to test run HSR and say, will this work? Will it do its
Sacramento
job?
to San Francisco.
It's Sacramento to San Francisco, even
LA to
San
San
Jose to Sacramento, or San Jose to San Francisco, or San Diego to LA. There are plenty of places where it's going to be the same process to eminent domain, that you could try this out, spend billions of dollars, and possibly get a return and say, okay, is this actually working? Are people riding it where there's a need for it? Did it alleviate alleviate traffic in congested areas where that's what we're claiming it will do. Last time you were on 99, how much traffic did you hit between Fresno and Bakersfield? I've driven it a few times, not hit that much traffic. I've been in the Bay Area. I get that it takes 30 minutes to go 5 miles.
Let me ask you a question, though. And this always hit me. If you go from Fresno to Bakersfield, you can always claim, that's not really a good measurement of whether or not this is going to work. And so the project gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it gets beyond control that you have to build it. Mm-hmm. In other words, I think that high-speed rail is jobbed from the get-go. If you put it from LA to San Diego and you go, look, this is what it was for, you can actually sit down and go da-da-da-da with the data.
Oh my gosh, you might have a failure or a winner. It might prove itself to be equitably worth it.
Yes.
And if you do it in Fresno, it won't prove anything if it fails because it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. And so wait till we get this even done bigger, and wait till we get the spur that goes here, and wait till we get this.
So is that what prompted you to get into the race? Is just the way this high-speed rail was handled? What pushed you into this game?
Really, what pushed me into the game? No.
Move to Washington.
He's really excited about me taking my frustration out on a bunch of politicians. I'll tell you that. But
good Republican.
Yeah, he's very supportive of that. But I was working at the for CDCR, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, for the last 3 years since 2011, and I went up to headquarters for 9 months in the Department of Parole, and I saw a lot of regulations coming down that weren't practically enforceable and didn't make sense. And I just, being in my last year of law school while I was doing this, just kind of got to thinking, gosh, I remember senior year in high school and being taught about the Constitution and that anyone can run for anything, anytime, anywhere. That's what it means to be an American.
That's why 15 people are running for governor.
Yes, and I'm happy with that. It's sad that we can't get the message out without the big dollars. That's one of the things that I've discovered along my path.
Very difficult, isn't it?
I could beat Costa, but I have to actually win the primary to do that. I pulled 1.3% behind Mr. Costa. I know he's gone if I win in June, but I can't guarantee you that I can win. And with 6 of us splitting the Republican votes, I mean, how
6?
can you? Or 5? It's 5 of us.
Challengers to Costa.
Yeah, and honestly, one of my opponent's campaign managers told me to join their winning team because I'm a loser, and he said, I said, well, Well, they're all he's. I'm the only woman.
She's the only female.
I know, it was a joke. Oh, my.
Anyways, I said, I know I can beat Jim.
Yeah.
And he said, it doesn't matter if you can beat Jim. Can you beat my candidate? If you can't win the primary, who cares if you can beat Jim? And I'm like, why is your candidate running if they can't beat Jim?
Right.
Isn't that the purpose?
I think that some people do it, and I'm going to be very honest. I know in Chicago some people do it so they have a voice. You have an agenda. Not that you do, but I have an agenda. I want my voice heard, so what I do is I run for office.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
That's how Casey got the gig here. He ran for office twice.
Well,
how'd you do, Casey?
It didn't. Yeah, well, I wasn't. I wasn't successful, but it was a heck of an experience.
Was it fun?
It was a lot of fun.
Casey ran for county supervisor here twice.
Yeah, it was. And I understand what you're going through, being out there on the campaign trail and trying to get your opinion heard, and that's why I want to stick with this interview and talk about what your opinions are and what differentiate, what makes you different between the other 5 candidates, and more pointedly, Mr. Costa. I've said that I think Mr. Costa is a weak candidate up in, or a weak presence in Washington. Yes. I don't think he's really brought much to the district, if you will.
I would agree with that. He promises you the world. He says that he's going to vote a particular way, then goes on record and doesn't vote that way, but still claims that he did. I've seen that in video after video and record after record comparison. Yet people still keep voting for him, and I hear this over and over. Well, he's got so much pull with Pelosi and Feinstein and Boxer because he's one of them. What has he gotten done in 40 years?
Well, like with Miss Boxer, the raising of exchequer we've talked about here, very important to our water storage issue. You're a well driller.
Yes.
You understand that. Boxer won't even allow a study to be done, won't forward the legislation.
Here's the difference between Jim Costa and any other of the candidates and myself. If I win this election, I will make history. I will be the youngest woman ever elected to the House of Representatives. And if Boxer and Feinstein don't want to listen to what it takes to get water storage and real water in the valley, an alternative to groundwater, because that is not our solution, then I don't care what it takes. I will go out to every college, university that I have to go to and say, look I know you're a Democrat. I know you're supporting Boxer and Feinstein, but this is how you eat. This is where your food comes from. Listen to me as someone who's made history, someone who's one of you, who's worked a job, who's been in college, who knows what it's like. Listen to me tell you that you're not thinking smart. You're not looking in your best interests. And if you continue to vote these people into office, you will see a really devastating catastrophe happen, especially with our food source. Is that what you want? And
you have a unique perspective here, too, because as you mentioned earlier, you drill water wells. You've seen the water table sink. You've seen what's going on here firsthand.
It's not a study. It's for me, it's lower the line down here where the Bing is. Okay, there's water at 100 feet. That's 2007. Now we fast forward, lower the line down 257 feet. That's a 157-foot drop in less than a decade, okay? And then I go to places like Merced. I just, for the first time, we drilled in Merced, and I'm standing there with my husband. We're deepening this well, and I look down the hole, and I see water. And, I mean, that's like, you can't see water unless you're using like a mirror with the light down that deep. And I'm like, honey, where's this? We literally took a tape measure and funneled it down this hole, just a handheld one, and it was 25 feet standing water. Why is that? Because they've always had really reliable ground surface water until now. That's why they're deepening the well. That's why they're drilling wells now in Dos Palace and Merced.
Whoa. Hold on. I got a question.
Go ahead.
This just hit me. If you're in Merced and you go to this place and it's only 25 feet, then what is the problem with Merced drilling a little deeper?
Well,
to hold us off a couple of years.
The state of California sent out a letter a while back that said it went to all licensed water well drillers and all counties. They sent the same letter to all of us. And it said, FYI, we've declared a drought, in case you didn't know. And as a driller and as a county who gets these records, there's a well driller's log that has to be reported within a certain number of days. This is the law. Make sure you follow it. FYI. Because we're in a drought and we need to track where all the water's at.
Right.
And then there was a whole nother paragraph that said, FYI county. Be sure that we need to make sure that water is sustainable on a groundwater table level.
Should there be
and that you should exercise whatever discretion each county independently feels is necessary to protect the sustainability of the groundwater.
So do you think there should be a well drilling moratorium?
I think each county is going to do whatever they want. And I think that's even worse than
But did I hear you correctly that the water tables have dropped down to 257 feet in some counties, but here in Merced you're hitting water at 25 feet?
It depends exactly where you're at. I mean, in Madera County, on the other side of 99 out kind of towards the prison where I used to work,
Fairmead.
Those wells they're drilling 16, 15, 1,800 feet out there, and their water is down at 4 or 5. I just went to some place, and they drilled a brand new well last year, 700 feet, no water. So they were supposed to go down 1,200 feet like their neighbors did, I guess.
So from a groundwater perspective, Merced appears to be pretty strong, and you attribute
one
well does not make a story.
We're drilling in Winton. I don't know if we hit water yet. I don't.
Lynn Davis or Deidre
but you would attribute that to the surface water that we have.
The place that I was drilling was a place that has always gotten surface water and never needed it. Same with Dos Palace. I know plenty of people.
So they've never had to turn the wells on.
They don't even have wells.
Okay, gotcha.
They have no, and they're now frantic. There's a rush on wells because this talk of a moratorium. So people are actually overdeveloping as a fear factor of this discussion here, and that's not a good thing either.
So you advocate more storage?
Yes, I advocate more storage. We have to keep farming. We have to keep doing what we've been doing. And in 30 years, we've not created any new dams. We've not done any new storage. And, you know, I know that everyone, it's the Endangered Species Act. I heard Senator Cannella give a really great speech one time at the Capitol to some visitors. And he said, honestly, my hands are tied when it comes to raising dams or building new ones because of the Endangered Species Act, the environmentalists.
She wrote it.
Well,
Barbara Boxer was one of the, according to Migliazzo's. I talked to, what?
Really?
What?
She wrote the Endangered Species Act.
She helped write it, and so what happens is she's not going to retract it now.
Hopefully she'll be an endangered species someday. Folks, we have to take our second break. We'll be right back on
Sounds like what I said at Bank of America.
KYOS AM 1480. Bye.
We're going.
Go.
You're kidding.
We're on.
Already? Don't include this. This is such drivel. People won't.
Well,
no.
can I just... Robert's arguing with our guest about the authenticity of her purse.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I said
You talk about
Burberry.
metrosexual.
And
I
here
like Burberry.
Robert can pick out a fake Burberry.
See, he's got a real one, folks.
Folks, welcome
we're
back to
not
Studio.
Gonna lie here. That's a real one.
Welcome back to Studio C, Citizen Watch with Steve Colvard, Robert, the Velvet Sledge.
The metrosexual.
The Burberry Velvet Sledge.
The Burberry
Actually,
Velvet
my favorite is Giorgio Armani.
Tomasetti. I'm Casey Steed.
Love Giorgio Armani.
And here we have also with us Joanna Garcia-Botelho
Yes.
for
You got
Congress,
it.
16th District. You know, folks, I got to do a couple of housekeeping things. I have to send out my condolences, my heartfelt condolences to one of really my biggest fan, and this show's
Betty.
one of the biggest fans. Betty DeWitt passed away very tragically a week or so ago. I saw her obituary in the paper. It just devastated me. I hadn't talked to her in a couple of weeks, wondered why. I found out. She called at least twice a month. She wrote letters. I've showed them to the guys. Beautiful penmanship. 10, 15-page letters, just a lost art form.
And you know what was
the written word?
You know what was awesome about her was she, I guess she was retired twice.
Yeah, right.
And she didn't want to. She wanted to stay active. So believe it or not, Betty DeWitt was a security guard for
Yeah,
Guardco.
for Guardco.
Just to have something to do.
People would probably see her at events at the fairgrounds, the Italo, different venues around town. She was probably 4'11", white hair, still kind of in a bouffant style. The uniform a little big when you're 4'11". I think maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. Beautiful personality. She would call me and talk and always say, Casey, I know I'm a turbo tongue, I'm a motor mouth. She had great insight, great views on the political scene here in Merced and nationally. A tremendous life, and my condolences go out to her family. I went to school with her son Jeff, and again, really sorry about your mother passing. So, Citizen Watch thoughts and prayers going out to your family. And Betty, we're really going to miss you, and I'm going to really miss your input. Programming note: this Thursday we're going to have Sam Rangel in from Mojo. He runs this Project Mentoring Odd Job Opportunity Program. He wants to come in and talk about some of the directions we're taking on gangs.
Happy birthday, Stevie Wonder.
Which I think you're going to find very fascinating.
Very fascinating.
Very
totally
fascinating.
different take on what we're hearing from the sheriff's candidates. He's going to bring in a guest who was in the organization, organized crime, gangs, whatever, and now he's turned a new leaf. He's going to talk to us. That's Thursday. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to go to a graduation. My stepson, Tristan, is graduating from vocational school, so I'll be doing the show via the phone, but we'll be back Tuesday. Anyway, congratulations to him. Look, let's get back to Joanna Garcia-Botelho here in studio. We've talked about HSR. We talked a little bit about water, I believe, and the challenges there. The other big thing is employment. You represent a district that has a high poverty rate. California has one of the highest poverty rates in the nation, and here you have a district that
Merced sets itself apart. I remember when the foreclosures were happening, getting the National Association of Realtors newsletters pointing out that Merced County was like number one in the nation, top three.
Got Ellie Wooten
for
on
a
the front
long
page of the
time.
New York Times.
What do you think we should do about it? What should you do about it in Congress?
Well, there's a lot of burdens we've got to overcome on a state level that hopefully, as the next Congresswoman of the 16th District, I can put a little heat on some of our state representatives to step up and do their job. There's really not much the federal government can do other than make it an environment that's friendly to businesses. The problem with California is we are leading the way in a lot of things, and we can't save the world alone. We can't protect the air and the environment by ourselves. It needs to be something that the whole nation does. So we've been leading the way for my whole lifetime, it seems like, and we've just been getting tighter and tighter on what we do. And so the only alternatives I see is make it a competitive, equal footing by increasing the federal regulations to match California, which I'm really not a fan of that. But that is an option that would help keep companies from going to Texas, because Texas would then be having the same requirements that we have. So we could even the playing field federally if we wanted to, or we can get California to say, look, maybe we need to scale it back a smidge, or maybe we could do something in the middle. Maybe we can get the federal government to kick it up to what we think is reasonable to protect the environment and the climate shift that's, coming our way that everyone
So you'd be a fan of fracking, I take it?
I think that it's something that needs to be done cautiously, and we need to make sure that we learn from our mistakes and that we protect our groundwater tables and do things to protect the environment. But yeah, we've had huge scientific advancements from 1970s when the Endangered Species Act was passed until now, and I think you can mitigate a lot of damage, and you can really work hard to keep that from being a problem, and that would be a huge increase in jobs.
Do you think the Central Valley's future is agriculture?
I think we need it to be agriculture. The nation does. We provide more food for the globe than most other places, and we're particularly suited.
Yeah, I heard it's one half of the world's population is fed by California.
All right, and we can't do it without water.
We can't do it without water.
Well, let me just tie something together. You're a well driller. I think that'd be the easy term, the vernacular.
She's an attorney.
Not an attorney. I did graduate law school. I do have a Juris Doctorate, but I haven't joined the scum-sucking lawyer team yet.
Whoa! And how do you feel about those scum-sucking lawyers?
No, there's those of them out there. There's good people too, but
we all need. We have another attorney in Congress, right?
Well, I think that's why you see all those laws coming down from the state, because you need someone to litigate them. Right. And who does that benefit? The lawyers. Oh, yeah. So.
But just getting back to sustainability and balance, and like Steve said, agriculture is very important here in the Valley. Fracking, the way I understand it, it's done at quite a bit lower than the water table.
Oh, very, very deep.
It's very, very deep. Now, I understand there's concerns about incursions, but don't we have naturally occurring petrochemicals and gas in some of our sites here on the western side of the valley, Coalinga, down around
we
Merced County, we have naturally occurring natural gas. So things happen in nature also.
They do, and I think we can take advantage of that, but that's the state regulation that's preventing it from happening, because they do frack in Texas.
Right.
So
they frack in Bakersfield, don't they?
They do some, and some of it's, I think, grandfathered in is what it would end up being.
California has got regulations which helps the producers at least know what the playing field is. And I think what Joanna is telling us here is that as long as we have regulations and a playing field, and we all play by the rules, why not do it?
Why not? And, I think a lot of our legislators, they are attorneys, and I don't think they had the great contract teacher that I had. I asked him when I was working on a contract for one of my businesses, hey, is there anything I think I should make sure I include? And I was real nervous about it. And he said, keep it as simple and as short as possible. Include, venue, who has to pay attorney's fees, all the important stuff, but plain language so everyone understands will be your best friend. And I thought, I'm going to law school. Aren't I supposed to learn how to do this in Latin or something?
Right.
And his argument was plain language and keep it as simple as possible.
Which is contrary to what we currently experience, because you read any type of statute from the state of California or the federal government, it's so confusing.
Nobody.
Yeah, you can't.
Need an attorney.
You would have to be an attorney to understand it.
But the attorneys do that, I believe, so that they can interpret it the way that they want, and so that it's
ambiguous.
And you're really not supposed to have ambiguous language gets interpreted under the law and common law against the drafter. So anything ambiguous written by Congress should be against Congress. I think that the Affordable Health Care Act probably has quite a bit of some ambiguous language in it. I think that should be used against our Congress people.
How do you feel about that? Good thing? Gives a lot of people
when I quit my job, I had to apply for Obamacare, and I did get millions of hours on the phone and all the fun stuff involved with that. And I think there are some glitches. They took Medi-Cal and Medicaid and all of these things, and they just made it so the whole system is now basically like that. And those were already broken. People who get Medi-Cal and Medicaid, they get some help, but I guarantee you that there's a lot of people who think that it's lacking, and it's not just on a treatment level, it's on the way that the process works. And so
I think those processes are worse than the VA system, and they're condemning the VA system, but not their own that they built.
But it looks like Obamacare is here to stay. Would you agree?
I think that it needs to be modified. I think that we need to get together and just figure out what's common sense practical and get the government out of Obamacare. We don't need them
Aren't these delays in implementation kind of worrisome?
I think that they show that the person who created this, who supported it, is afraid of the aftermath. I think that it's clear
I agree with you.
that, by, executive decision, we're going to postpone this till after the elections because it might make some people mad. That says it right there. I don't need to say anymore. I mean, it's seriously broken, and they know it.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt, and I'll give you the quote on Thursday, but Teddy Roosevelt, I just read it, and I'm laughing, and he said in there that there was a problem with having the government run a business because the government employees are inefficient and don't know how to run a business.
Well, that's all we've seen.
And I'm going to bring that in there, and she hit on it, and I was just thinking of it. And
I have people that I've met who consider me like the people's candidate almost. I roll up in that big truck, and I'm in my jeans and my button-up shirt, and I
the people's candidate. Dun-dun-dun.
They're like comparing me to Reagan, some people, and saying,
Whoa.
I'm ready to go there, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure of that, but I
Watch out, Jim. Here comes.
Well, I think you're a unique combination of practicality and you have a jurisdiction.
You've got to know what you're talking about to make the argument. I mean, the Endangered Species Act is easy to tackle. We haven't gotten it modified because we have too hard left and right. Well, the right needs to figure out what we want, and we need to spin it in a way that the left is comfortable with. That way we can get something passed and something done. I'm about getting things done. I don't.
Yeah, but what if you find yourself in an environment where even if you have a great idea, the opposing side is going to try to sabotage it because they don't want you to get credit for it.
That's what it's like here at
Then
Citizen
get
Watch.
them fired. Go out and pound the streets in San Francisco. Explain it to them as a real person to person and say, look, I'm here telling you these people are big business and they're not representing you. The government is not meant to control us. We are meant to control the government. I have so many people that are afraid of Jim Costa, are afraid to not donate to him or vote for him. And I'm thinking, you're the one who gave him the power. How dare you be afraid to take it away and give it to someone else?
People forget that, don't they?
Yep, absolutely.
Hire me, fine. In 2 years, if I don't do a good job, please fire me.
Well, like
Get someone else there.
You'll have made history then.
You realize who your employers are, and I think Mr. Costa forgets. What events do you... I'm sorry?
I don't think he forgets.
Well, I just think
he plays the game the way the game's played.
That's a different rhetoric.
He's part of a system that he's been a part of for 30-plus years, and he plays the
part
game
of the
the way
game
it's
of
played.
five. Wasn't he part of the gang of
we
five?
We have to change the way the game's played.
Isn't he part of the gang of five?
Here in California,
Yeah.
maybe a gang of
But
Was he
that's
not
the
part
other
of the
thing.
gang of five, though?
Look at the Democrats.
Was he or was he
who
not?
are their most powerful people? Boxer, Feinstein, Pelosi, Hillary. All women.
Yeah.
Where are the Republicans when it comes to supporting young women with good ideas who want to go out there? I don't know where they are.
Dole!
I
How old
agree.
is she now? 90?
No, she runs the Red Cross. Listen, Joanna, what events, we're less than 3 weeks from the election, actually 3 weeks from today.
Yeah.
What events do you have coming up? How can people get a hold of you? How can they learn
Anyone can
more
call
about
me.
Your candidate?
Anytime. My cell is 559-223-1717.
Slow?
Yes.
It's
Do it again,
plastered
slow.
all over the internet.
559 area code, which is different than ours.
That's the Madeira area code. And then it's 223-1717.
All right.
And then go to my website and see pictures of me and read more information.
And the website's what?
And that's Botelho for Congress. That's the BOTELHO for Congress. I'm pretty sure if you Google Joanna Garcia or Joanna Garcia-Botelho, any form
You'll
of that,
pop up.
something
Youngest
will come up.
congresswoman, it'll come up.
Any events you're going to be, people hear you speak, are those pretty much over? Don't we have the League of Women
You have one coming
Voters
up on the 17th, don't you?
The League of Women Voters recorded already, so that will be playing. I'm not. They didn't send an email when they're playing that video, but that was with
Tea
the
Party
three of
debate
us.
this Thursday?
When's your birthday?
There is December 23rd, 1984.
He's going to
Why
read
is
your
that
horoscope,
relevant?
Joanna.
Bide your time. Listen attentively, but don't give anyone the upper hand. Choose your battles carefully. Work quietly on the projects that you feel are most important, and add your own personal touch to signify your skill and talent.
Swami
That's what it says.
Robert speaks.
Wow.
Joanna, I really appreciate coming in, and you.
I
will
like
be-
her. I she's kind of fun. We should ever come in.
You've got the Sledge seal of approval.
I was told if politics doesn't work out for me, I could try to be a stand-up comedian or something, but I'm not sure about that.
You've been very engaging with Mr. Tomasetti, I'll tell you.
Can you imagine her doing juggling acts while she's drilling?
Yeah.
Hey, come on, a little thing. Come and see Joanna.
Hey, I had to climb the tower the other day with a grinder and grind a bolt off. That's like 35 feet in the air, hanging with a rope.
I will say she is a small businesswoman, self-employed, blah, blah, blah. It's a great thing to have that kind of experience in office. The one thing I wanted to ask you.
Oh, God, she drinks Dr. Pepper.
She loves, be a pepper.
Carbonated prune juice.
You will be at the tea party.
I will be at that.
This Thursday.
Yes.
VFW Hall. If people want to meet Joanna in person, I would encourage them to go to that event. I think it starts at 5:30. Get there early. The sheriff's debate was packed, and you'll be able to hear her answers and some of the other folks. I know Mr. Costa won't be there. He feels they're, quote unquote, not my kind of people. So that should tell you a little bit about Jim. We have to go, folks. We're out of time. We're over budget.
Thank you.
We're under the influence. No, we're not. We're here with Robert, Steve, and I'm Casey. We're going to sign off.
Can we do something real quick?
Robert, we're out of time.
Hey, real quick. Why don't we extend, since water is always an issue, why don't we have her come back and discuss water issues?
Well, more than welcome.
Yes. We would love to have you back.
Folks, we got to go. Bye-bye.
Yeah.